Yesterday, we have talked about almsgiving, or simply translate as giving prajna paramita. Giving paramita. And the first type of giving is translated as material, but in Chinese word that doesn't mean material. It can be considered as inner giving and outer giving. So the better translation would be giving. The inner giving is associated with the physical part. The outer giving is things outside your body, like your money or everything else. The inner giving can be such as donate your eyes just before a person that passed away. You donate eyes to help others. Or use your physical strength and do volunteer work without charge a fee. That is considered inner giving, which you do through your physical contribution. Average people does a lot of things, but due to they have no realization, they have not turned their mind around. So those activities may be helping others, but not truly a bodhisattva's path or practice. If you do things with the realization of helping others, with this realization, then everything you do become good. If everything you do is for yourself, although you may be helping others on the surface, but it is still coming out from the confused mind, from the egoistic self, and no matter how good things you are doing on the surface, it is considered bad. The reason sentient beings cannot become Buddha is due to two kinds of attachment. Attachment to self and attachment to the Dharma. Attachment to self, if that can be cut off completely, then one reach arahanthood. One becomes arahant. If one does a lot of things, maybe looking good on the surface, but every single thought behind your activities, that motivation is for oneself, then we are increasing egoistic self. If one truly want to get out of the samsara, then every single thought must be in the direction of decreasing the egoistic self, and eventually cut it off completely. The next attachment also makes sentient beings unable to become Buddha is because attachment to the Dharma. So generally speaking, attachment to the Dharma is the obstacle of knowledge. Attachment to the self is the cause of vexation. The second type of giving is Dharma giving, or giving the Dharma, which for the broader sense means teaching of sentient beings of everything, and not just teach sutra to sentient beings. The teaching or giving can be categorized into giving the knowledge on the worldly things, or giving the trans-worldly things, spiritual knowledge, such as Buddhism. So these two types of giving is teach sentient beings to obtain worldly knowledge or to obtain spiritual knowledge for liberation. When one person teach other people to do how to cook, it is also belong to this giving paramita. If you teach students in elementary school, or you teach people of all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of technical skill, that's all considered as offering of the Dharma teachings in a broader sense. But the true offering must not have any anticipation of reward. Now the question is, if somebody teach in elementary school do receive monthly salary, is that almsgiving in providing teaching and still the Dharma type of teaching giving? The answer is, if you do that for the sake of a salary, then it's not Dharma giving. If you do that for the sake of benefit the students, then it is Dharma giving. Because if your motivation is to obtain salary, then you can be tired when the salary is not increased high enough to your expectation. But if your purpose is truly to teach the younger generation, then you will become very diligent and also enjoy your work in teaching. Then, since your motivation is different, then you are truly performing the teaching or giving paramita. Bodhisattvas are teaching sentient beings out of infinite compassionate mind. And in Dharma Mahayana Buddhism, it said, among all teachings, the highest teaching is the Dharma teaching. To teach sentient beings about Dharma. Because with this kind of teaching, sentient beings can get out of samsara, obtain supreme wisdom, and even Buddhahood. Therefore, this kind of teaching, giving, becomes the highest. And therefore, the great Bodhisattva, when they perform this kind of teaching, is highly praised by all Buddhas. That's why in our centers, we provide all kinds of teachings free of charge. The videotapes, audio tapes, and sometimes itinerary tour, traveling around from one place to another to provide Dharma teaching at no cost. But if those books or videotapes are provided to people with a price, or with the label saying there is copyright, one cannot duplicate, then it is not the Dharma type of teaching or giving. It is pure business activity. Or if a teacher, before he was invited to a place for providing Dharma teaching, he asked about what kind of reward, how much you're going to pay me for how long my provided teaching, then it is not Dharma giving. The true Bodhisattva will come when the sentient beings are truly hungry for the spiritual knowledge, namely the Dharma. He may even pay for his own traveling expenses just to come provide teaching to sentient beings, never ask for a reward. The third type of giving is called giving of fearlessness to beings, which means to help sentient beings remove their fear and to restore peace of the body and the mind. For example, one nation want to attack the other nation. The other nation, everyone of the other nation to be attacked are very panic. And then somebody volunteered to become a soldier and fight to defend for their own country. Then volunteer to become a soldier is this type of giving, to provide fearlessness to his countrymen. Or, for example, to walk in the darkness at night. People may be scared of bandits or any unexpected trouble. If you volunteer to escort them and walk in the darkness together, that is also this type of giving of fearlessness to people. So basically, there are many examples As long as you can help beings away from fear and restore their physical and mental peace and harmony, that is a giving of fearlessness. And the consequence or karmic result of this type of giving is long life and good health. And now I'd like to point out particularly one situation. To be a full vegetarian, no eating of meat, it is giving of fearlessness. Why? Because all sentient beings see you, particularly animals, they have no fear about you. Because you have no intention to eat any meat. You have no intention of killing, even indirectly. That is giving of fearlessness. That means how important to be a vegetarian. So, in conclusion, for this subject of giving of the Dharma teaching, one will obtain the result, karmic result, of wisdom and prajna. Giving of wealth, the inner wealth and outer wealth together. The result is you will become very wealthy. And then Dharma fearless giving, we have mentioned that already, is to obtain health and longevity. In the Chinese history, the best example, a person who has obtained the best of three types of giving and its best result is Emperor Qianlong of Qing Dynasty. Because talking about the wealth, he owns the whole country, the mainland China. Talking about the wisdom, he's very smart and wise. Talking about health and longevity, he lived 60 years as emperor. And even after he retired, he still became the father of the emperor for another 4 years. So even he said, I'm the rare emperor even in the history of China. And he was the person that truly practiced three types of givings. The wealth giving, the Dharma giving, or teaching giving, and the fearlessness giving. Therefore, the karmic consequence is inconceivable. In Mahayana Buddhism, oftentimes mentioned, Bodhisattvas must practice the 6 Prajaparamita. The Prajaparamita means, or not Praja, just Paramita. Practice 6 items to Paramita stage. Paramita means complete, perfect state. And we have discussed so far, from morning till night, we can do all kinds of activities. We are actually providing services, giving. But without realization and understanding, it is not truly corresponding to the true meaning of giving. If one realizes the purpose and the meaning of giving, then all your daily activities and services becomes Dharma practice. Because in Chinese word, giving, after giving, there's another word followed, that's obtaining or receiving. If you can give a little bit, you will receive something back. You give more, you receive more. You completely give out, you completely obtain. On the other hand, if you do not give, you will not gain anything. Now I ask you, do you have vexations? Do you like to give that out? Do you have worries and fear and infinite life and cycle of life and death called reincarnation? Do you like to give that out? That's also giving. If one can give out these things completely, then that giving has reached a perfect state. It's called giving paramita. And only then, the pure mind, the self-nature, will then come to its perfect state. The second paramita is precept observing paramita. Although literally it says precept observing, actually it means in a broader sense, obey all rules and regulations. Because for small matters and things, there are small rules and regulations. For big matter and big things, there are big rules and regulations that one need to follow. Without the rules and regulations, then things cannot be done successfully or effectively. Even for a family, there must be some rules for the family. The rules between the husband and wife's relationship, the rule between brother and sister, and the rule between older generation and younger generation for their proper relationship, and must not be reversed. Even for a simple case like cooking in the kitchen, one must first wash the rice and then cook to a certain degree of temperature. It must have a certain rule and procedure. To practice Buddha Dharma and wish to become Buddha, the rules are even more subtle and more strict. One needs to follow the proper sequence without reverse. In the 4 great vows, the first one is vow to save all sentient beings. That's the first one in practicing Buddha Dharma, the beginning stage. And then the next sequence is, in order to save all sentient beings, we must save ourselves first by cutting off vexations completely. So that comes the second vow. And the third vow, in order to save all sentient beings, you need to know all dharmas. Therefore, vow to learn all dharma. And then the result is vow to obtain supreme Buddhahood. Only when you truly reach the supreme enlightened stage, then you can come back and save all sentient beings and fulfill your first vow among the 4 great vows. Without achieve the Buddhahood, to save all sentient beings, it's just an empty wish. The Bodhisattva, you may ask, they can save sentient beings. Why do they have to become a Buddha? Well, no matter how high a level Bodhisattva is, he can save all beings below his level, not to his level, and not definitely the level above him, such as Buddha. Only when one becomes Buddha, then one has capability to even save the Bodhisattva of the highest level, and all 9 different categories, all the way down to the sentient beings of hell. If one truly generates the great vow to save all sentient beings from the bottom of the heart, then one will have compassionate mind comes out, and then one will be able to diligently practice Buddha Dharma in the spiritual path. But today, many people, they have interest in Buddhism. They also try to generate great vow, but they have in their great vow a mind of discrimination. They like this, they don't like that person, they think this is right, that is wrong, and therefore, for those persons, the great vow stated like this: I vow to save sentient beings all, except Mr. So-and-so. You see, that's not a great vow. In the classification of Bodhisattva, the beginning stage of Bodhisattva truly generate great vows, truly want to save all beings unconditionally, without exception. And that, therefore, they have tremendous spiritual power when the true mind comes out to save all beings. The precept observing paramita is based upon compassion and applied through method and expedience. Has to be applied in a very proper manner, because there are many methods and many ways to express it. Need to be expressed and conducted in a very proper manner. And therefore, the methods are numerous. The 6 paramitas are the 6 major items. Among each one of them, there are numerous methods to apply them effectively in all conditions, all situations, with all beings. A Bodhisattva knows how to skillfully apply the methods, and the methods are infinite. It all comes from the wisdom. The endurance paramita, the Chinese translation in Chinese, is actually translated from Sanskrit as insult, enduring insult, paramita. The translator in ancient time must know the Chinese people's weaknesses in their characters. That is, there is a Chinese statement, famous, which says, "A gentleman can be killed with head chopped off, but will not take no insult." That translator must know Chinese people's characteristic. So he translates this paramita as insult, enduring paramita. In the original meaning in the Sanskrit, basically says endurance or patience. But to Chinese people, the translation becomes insult, enduring paramita. That to try to teach Chinese, even insult must be able to withstand. And therefore, what else can you not withstand? For little things, little insult, you need a little bit of patience. For great insults, you need a great patience. Everything in the Diamond Sutra says, come to accomplish, reach its achievement due to patience. In order to graduate from college and obtain BS degree, you must be patient for 4 years. Otherwise, you cannot graduate. In order to learn Buddha Dharma, like tonight, you must be patient for 2 hours. Otherwise, you won't obtain the spiritual knowledge. So success belongs to those who have patience and perseverance. And that's why in the Buddhism Sutra, among the 6 paramita, the giving paramita and insult enduring paramita were discussed numerous times when compared with discussion to other paramitas. Because giving and patience are the key for spiritual achievement. The patience paramita, to deal with a matter or things is difficult. Try to accomplish something successfully is not easy. But to deal with people in human relationship is even more difficult. And today, it's even much more difficult to deal with other people in today's society. That's because today's education is to teach people skills and not to teach people how to behave, how to become a good person. And therefore, to deal with today's people become extremely difficult. The patience paramita covers 3 aspects. The first one is patience with people's persecution or insult. If you can take it with patience, then your mind will be pure. When the mind is pure, then the mind can calm down or enter into samadhi. The second one is to be patient with external factors such as high temperature, cold temperature, hunger, or natural disasters, which is the impact from the environment and not from human beings. And one need to be patient, have patience with the natural factors from external. The third patience is in the area of Dhamma practice. Before one obtains the joy and the peace of Dhamma practice, one need to be very patient. It is actually boring and maybe even a little bit boring or or just not unpleasant before you obtain the Dharma joy. But once you have practiced long enough, then the joy from Dharma will come, and it's very pleasant. It is like try to find the highway when you first drive around local. You got to be patient, stop and go before traffic lights. And then when you find the highway, it's very smooth. To practice Buddha Dharma in the beginning is difficult. One needs to search one's way around to find the best method. It takes many years to find the right one and stay firm to this method and eventually get a peace and joy out of this method. Some people are very lucky. They find the right method and they get peace from Dharma practice right away. Some people takes 3 to 5 years to find the right Dharma practice and enjoy the peace from the practice. Some people takes all their lifetimes still searching and not able to find the proper Dharma method. This, of course, has something to do with that individual's good karmic root in the Dharma and personal virtues of previous life. But if you are sincere in searching the truth and the proper method toward enlightenment, then the proper condition will come, because Bodhisattva, with great compassion, will make the proper condition come and make you realize the proper method, and you will be happy, enjoying your practice, and achieve good results. But why it seems that Bodhisattva are not coming to give us guidance, point out the proper method to us, so we don't have to search around? It is because our mind is not settled. Even Buddha or Bodhisattva appear and tell us something, we still try to argue and negotiate. Therefore, Bodhisattva just cannot come, because you are not ready. So one needs to be patient, even in searching. With proper patience, then one can eventually develop diligence. With diligence, then the spiritual achievement will come. The next paramita is diligence. Paramita of diligence means making progress in a daily basis. Confucius said basically the same thing. Every day one should make progress. But some people criticize Confucianism and Buddhism are pretty backward. Apparently they did not know the teaching or the philosophy of Confucianism and Buddhism. So those two are really dealing with diligent cultivation. They request daily progress. Diligence in Chinese consists of 2 words. The first word means pure and not mixed. The second word means progress and not backward. For today's scientific achievement made by the scientists, it is also due to their hard working and daily diligence. Without that, the scientific creation of invention cannot be happen. Buddha Dharma are likewise, and in practice Buddha Dharma, one needs to pick up one method only, and diligent in pursuing this method until one reach enlightenment. When the mind is enlightened, then one can move on to study other methods or schools' teachings and will be well versed in other methods quickly, because when one is completely, thoroughly realized, then all Dharma can be fully realized. If one do not follow the prior diligence and practice many methods at the same time, then one will not achieve spiritual achievement. I'd like to tell you a story, a true story. In the 1900s in China, a famous teacher called Venerable Dishen. He has a disciple, monk, who left home, become a monk at middle age, 40, 50, some in that time, that age. He was an old friend of Venerable Dishen in the countryside. But Dishen is a person with good knowledge and many experience about life. And this person was born in a poor family, do not have knowledge and experiences. And his job is to fix something that we don't even know today. It is to fix the broken pieces of bowls and plates. But in today's time, if bowls and plates are broken, we simply throw away. You see, in the early time in China, people are very frugal. They don't throw away. They fix that one. And this person, without proper knowledge and experience, is doing fixing for a living. And he's been doing that for many, many years. He truly realized life is full of sufferings. So he came to his old friend, who is the famous Venerable Dishen, tried to request to become a monk, but it was rejected. And he still insists because of the good relationship from childhood. But the teacher says, you are so old and physically weak. If you want to practice the Dharma teachings or the morning ceremony, the 5 major ceremonies in a daily basis, you cannot do. And people will laugh about you. To practice something like teaching the Dharma to others, you don't even recognize the word. You are illiterate. But this person refused to leave the teacher. He insists to become a monk because of their old friendship. The teachers finally said, okay, but there's one condition. After I shape you, you do not stay in the temple. You do not take precepts. I will find a small temple in the remote countryside. You stay there by yourself. And I will have friends, Buddhist friends, take care of you. They're going to offer the rice, material food for you, and there will be an old lady cook for you. And I teach you only one method, that is Namo Amitabha. And you just do that, nothing else. And if you are tired chanting, take a rest. When you feel good, continue chanting. That's all I want you to do. And this monk, this old friend says, okay. So he hair got shaved. He just followed instruction and stay in countryside by himself in a place that's very poor and lousy place. But he just followed the instruction and practiced very diligently. 3 years later, one day, he left that place and went to town and visited relatives actually. Then he told the old lady, do not cook for me tomorrow. I don't need food. This old lady thought he must have met some friend. They're going to invite him for lunch. Then second day, the old lady came to visit the monk. Because the temple that the old monk lived is so poor, you can see through. There's probably no window or gate, door. He saw the teacher monk. The monk was standing facing the window and holding the chanting beads in hand. The old lady called the monk without any response. And the lady came closer and find he was already passed away in chanting Amitabha's name. So out of shock, the lady quickly go to the village and ask other people to check, and they all realized this monk truly passed away. Then they quickly sent somebody else to tell the master Dishen. And in the early time of China, the traffic is not so convenient. It takes 3 days to come back to have the teacher to see this old monk who just passed away. And he still stood there for 3 days. And once the Venerable saw this old friend who practiced only Amitabha for only 3 years, he gave him the greatest compliment. Those Dharma master who can spread Buddha Dharma, teaching so famous, and touch so many people's hearts, are not comparable to your achievement. And why he has this achievement? He is very pure in his practice and with great diligence. So look from people today practicing Buddha Dharma. Things people are working pretty hard, but diligent with confusion, diligent with scattered mind. For 30 years, with this kind of diligence of today's people, there are going to be no achievement. I've been listening to this tape about this true story over and over again, and I feel very touched. Actually, if you are pure, you know this method of Amitabha is so profound, there'll be no need to change any sutra, any other mantra. Just stick firm to one word, that is Namo Amitabha. So the principle of diligence can be applied to Zen meditation, mantra chanting, Buddha name chanting, and some people like to study sutra and teach other people sutra. That can also be utilized with the principle of diligence. If a person all his lifetime or her lifetime only spread and teach one sutra, for example, he teach only Amitabha Sutra for 10 years, again and again, then every time he teaches Amitabha Sutra, every time he is making progress, and 10 years later, he becomes Amitabha. If a person teaches other sentient beings, persons of Universal Door chapter of the wonderful Lotus Flower Sutra for 10 years, then 10 years later, with constant diligence and concentration in one sutra, he or she become Guanyin Bodhisattva or Avalokitesvara. But if a person try to become a great Dharma master and teach 10 different types of sutras for 10 years, then he becomes nothing. He will not become the expert. I remember 20-30 years ago, Venerable Xingyun, literally means galaxy, the great galaxy master, pretty famous in southern part of Taiwan and now all over the Taiwan. He had about 100 students, all monks. And I encourage him to tell his students, one student should concentrate on one sutra during their study period of time in the temple. And then 10 years later, the Buddha light will shining to all Taiwan, because you're going to have 100 experts teaching 100 different sutras. And even they don't reach that level, we say 50% people quit, do not reach the level that we anticipated. Then you're still going to have 50 experts teaching 50 sutras. And then people whoever in other places need to listen to Amitabha Sutra, you will send Amitabha student who is the expert in Amitabha Sutra. People who want to listen to Kristigaba Sutra, you send the Kristigaba monk, because he is an expert in Kristigaba Sutra. Unfortunately, he did not listen to my recommendation. He said, then this place no longer like a Buddhist institute. A Buddhist institute the student must be knowledgeable in all teachings. So he did not accept my recommendation. But if a person truly understands the importance and the value of diligence, in the case of a spreading Buddha Dharma, and he concentrate or she concentrate only one sutra, then the achievement is bound to occur. For example, Bodhisattvas are also experts. They have enlightened already, and they know all other teachings and sutras and many other methods. But to be an example, a good example of sentient beings, they still teach sentient beings only one method that they know. Actually, they can teach many others, but they want to show you a good example of concentration and diligence. So that tells us how important diligence can be. Without it, spiritual achievement will not occur. The fifth item, a paramita, is samadhi paramita. Literally in Chinese, it's Zen samadhi. And this Zen samadhi can be categorized as worldly samadhi and trans-worldly samadhi, or beyond the world samadhi. That's basically the Buddhist Dhamma samadhi. The worldly samadhi covers 4 Zen stages or 8 samadhi level, and the result of this practice can make a person be born into the realm of form, which is high heavenly level, or the realm of formlessness, that's even higher level of heaven. The next category of Zen samadhi is trans-world samadhi, that goes beyond the world of life and death. And that can be further categorized 3 types: the Theravada type, the Mahayana type, and lastly, the supreme, utmost samadhi. The first type, Theravada style samadhi, are practiced by those beings seeking for Arahant. And the next level, Mahayana samadhi, are the content of practices for Bodhisattvas. And then the last one is the supreme utmost samadhi, is the one that Buddhas are doing. So the river point, or the key point of spiritual achievement, lies with Zen samadhi. It is not just the Zen practitioner who do meditation. All other schools, they too emphasize the importance of samadhi. It's just they have different terminologies. For Buddha name chanting students of the Pure Land School, their goal is single mind without scattering. That is samadhi. For teaching school who study all kinds of sutra, they talk about skillful application of stillness and observation. That is basically samadhi. For the Vajrayana Buddhism, they talk about 3 proper correspondence of the 3 essence in body, speech, and mind. When that happens, it is also basically samadhi. In our daily life, we need to have a little bit of similar to samadhi state too, in order to handle things properly. And what is that a little something similar to samadhi? That is, in your heart and mind, you know what goal you want to achieve, and you will not be interfered or affected by surrounding environment or external factors. Therefore, the scientist who can have achievement in the scientific research area, and you can say they have scientific samadhi, because their mind has to be still in the direction of their research, and must not be interfered by others and other things. In the example we mentioned earlier, the monk who stood facing the window and passed away, that person has reached Buddha name chanting samadhi. So patience comes first, and then with patience, diligence becomes possible. With continuous diligent work in your spiritual path, then samadhi comes. And the word in Chinese is Zen samadhi. Sit down and practice meditation is only one of the numerous Zen samadhi methods. The 6th patriarch, Huineng, of Zen Buddhism, who became enlightened upon hearing a statement from the Diamond Sutra, and he gave an interpretation of Zen samadhi. Zen means externally not attached to any phenomenon or concept. Samadhi means inwardly the mind is not moving. This actually is the similar statement from the Diamond Sutra. It says, not attached to any phenomena, and yet the mind is unmoving. So this is basically Zen Samadhi, because not to attach anything external, that's Zen. And not moving one's mind, it's Samadhi. In the Flower Adorned Sutra, the main person, Santai Tongzi, who visited one of the great teachers of his time, Yu Xiang Zhangze, who happened to practice Zen Samadhi. He practiced Zen Samadhi of the highest class in the market, equivalent to today's shopping mall. And he was doing this high-level Samadhi practice in the shopping mall, and the mind still not scattered or moving. So we oftentimes envy person who can sit there for hours or days without moving. Actually, the highest level Samadhi are those who can do things in daily life, even shopping, and still not lose their mind or the inner peace of the mind. The Diamond Sutra has very good explanation about the Zen Samadhi. It basically says, externally away from phenomena, without attachment. Internally, the mind is not moving. And in the Diamond Sutra, it explains, because all phenomena are basically like hallucination, unreal. And all activities and concepts are like dream, like a bubble, like shadow. They are not real. And it's not easy to explain unless we use the consciousness-only teaching, which you may say roughly like Buddhism psychology, to explain. Because all the world, all this phenomenal world, material, non-material, concepts, whatever, can be categorized into 100 types. The type associated with the mind, they are 8. And object of the mind, they are 51. And those not corresponding to the mind, such as time that you cannot control to make it stop, they are 20. There are about 24 of those. And then material things, they are 11. So altogether, 8 plus 20, 51 plus 24 plus 11 makes 100. That covers the whole universe, inwardly, outwardly, everything. But this are basically hallucination and unreal. Only when person realizes that everything, when we say everything that's above 100 items, are unreal, then the mind will not move. And then the true mind will be able to come out or restored. And then with the true mind, one will have proper understanding and proper knowledge. It can be called the Buddha's knowledge, Buddha's perception. And this is the prajna paramita stage. When the mind is completely clear and see everything perfectly clear, and yet without any attachment. And then one will be able to help all sentient beings unconditionally, because one has experienced that all beings are fundamentally in one and sharing the same Dhammakaya, same true Buddha nature. For example, if you feel itching to your arms and you scratch your hand, would you talk about, what if I do this for you, what would be my advantage, or what kind of thing, good thing you want to give me as reward? You don't discuss that. You just go ahead and scratch, because the right hand and left hand are not different. They are in one, a part of the body. No separation. But sentient beings has confused. They distinguish self from others. Therefore, they do things for the satisfaction of the self, and then create all kinds of mistakes or sins. and therefore suffer from the wrongdoings due to the misconcept about self, egoistic self. And then the suffering is tremendous. If a person knows how to shoot one and others are fundamentally one, therefore help others unconditionally, that is, giving paramita. And one do things, follow the principle, follow the rules and regulation, that is, precept observing paramita. And one do things with patience and perseverance, that is, patience or endurance paramita. But one do things with single mind and not scattered, and continue this way, it is perseverance or diligent paramita. When one do things without scattering, that is Zen Samadhi paramita. When one do things with complete clarity, crystal clarity, that is prajna paramita. So if one just receive Bodhisattva precepts and call oneself as Bodhisattva, that is not true. Only if one, in doing everything and still in agreement with the above mentioned 6 principles, then one is truly Bodhisattva. Otherwise, only receive the ceremony. That kind of Bodhisattva is like a clay Bodhisattva, has no real function. So far, for the past few nights, we have covered the 3 virtues, we have covered 6 harmonies, we have covered 3 procedures, 3 steps, which is the precept, samadhi, and wisdom. And we also covered 6 paramitas. All these are actual things need to be put into practice in daily life. If one can do those things, then one are truly practicing Buddha Dharma. However, only practice 6 paramita and did very well, the best, only to become a great Bodhisattva, still cannot become Buddha. With this foundation and practice 6 paramita and apply to Buddha and chanting, the highest level is reach single mind state called 四一心不乱. That is no moving of the mind in the phenomenal world, so to speak. To go to a higher level and practice universal goodness Bodhisattva method of the 10 great vows of the king of 10 great vow, a king of vows. That method, that practices to a perfect state, then will reach a single state of the mind in essence. Then one can become Buddha. So when we talk about the 10 great vows, that is only when one has finished the 6 paramita. Otherwise, one cannot even touch that, because that is very high level. For the great Bodhisattva to achieve Buddha, that's the time they do it. Starting now, we're going to cover the 10 supreme vows of the universal goodness Bodhisattva Mahasattva's practice. And that practice, when finished, one becomes Buddha. What is the characteristic of the universal Bodhisattva's practices of these 10 great supreme vows? That is because it is as vast as the emptiness, so huge and vast in every single item. The first item of the 10 great vows is to respect all Buddha. And that doesn't mean Buddha of what we understand. Buddha, in a broader sense, means all sentient beings with feeling and all things without feeling, such as a rock, a wood, or something. For the sentient beings with feeling, it can be further categorized as animal, human being, and even the plant. They do have feeling. That is the sentient being category. And therefore, sentient beings and non-sentient beings all together are the broad sense of Buddha. So to say, pay greatest respect to all Buddhas, meaning you will do everything perfect, with perfect respect. We think we are pretty devoted to the Buddha Dharma. That is not the case. We have distinguishing mind, discriminating mind. We haven't received any tests. If somebody says, let's go do some business, guarantee you'll make $1 million tonight, you probably will not come tonight to listen to the Dharma. So our devotion and dedication is not what the universal goodness Bodhisattva talk about. His type of respect is the supreme to the supreme level and covers everything without any left out. And you may wonder why all beings and non-beings are covered. In Chinese word, that there's one single word meaning all beings and non-beings. That's basically or literally means everything forms by other conditions. That is considered as all beings and non-beings. So for that broader sense of definition of all beings and non-beings, then in practicing universal goodness Bodhisattva, in the first item would be for a book, you will make the book nice and put in the proper order. For the table, you'll let it stay in the proper place and clean the table. Does not mean you will bow to the table because that's part of the Buddha in a broader sense. No, you just put them in the proper order, nice and neat. That's for the objects. For all sentient beings, without exception, you treat them as future Buddha, as if you are facing a real Buddha. And for things that's not subject, not object, but some kind of things you want to do, you still do that with great respect and complete attention. That is within the scope of respect to all Buddhas. That is the definition of respect all Buddhas. That covers everything without exception. The second item of the great supreme vows of the good universal goodness Bodhisattvas is praise Tathagata. Why here is mentioned Tathagata instead of Buddhas? Because when talk about Buddhas, it's looking from the viewpoint of image. When talk about Tathagata, it's looking from the nature point of view. Nature. Therefore, the first one, I talk about from all the image. Therefore, the first one, I talk about from all the image, from external, we should, with great respect to all, without exception. No matter they are good image, bad image, the respect need to be there without exception. But to praise something, that has to be, worth the praise, has to be the proper Dharma, the pure heart, pure mind, and good Dharma. In the example of Santai visiting 53 teachers as described in the Flower Dawn Sutra, he complimented 50 great teachers, except 3. Those 3 were 圣的 Brahman, who symbolize stupidity or ignorance. And the second one is Nectar Fire King, who symbolize anger. Because if he gets mad, he will punish people. And the third one is a prostitute by the name of Mido Fa Do Nu, who symbolize craving desire. So when Santai visited all 3 of this special type of person, individually representing craving desire, anger, and stupidity, Santai approached to them with great respect, as if his same respect to Buddhas, but without compliment, without praise. Only those who has pure heart can truly help sentient beings worth the compliment or praise. Therefore, in our daily life today, when we see other religion distant ones, such as Catholic, their teaching can help beings to be born into the heavens. We have respect and compliment to them. But for the evil pests, we should also have respect, but no compliment. Tonight, and because the subject did not finish,